he was one of the most outstanding and grotesque figures of the line. Perhaps because he was a human with undefined mutations, the character wasn't adapted into the cartoon until a much later iteration. But who was he? Was he a mutant at all? And what was hidden under that hat? Join me today as I explore the psychotic chef himself, the original Pizzaface. The idea of the turtles fighting a chef may sound a bit far-fetched, but earlier in the conception of the toy line, this would have been the norm. In the early stages of the toy line's development, John Handy pitched several potential villains with professions you could find in New York, like mechanics or bakers. The idea was later replaced with the concept of mutated animals. However, in 1989, the concept of a psychotic chef floated back into reality. The earliest known concept design of Pizzaface was made by Errol McCarthy. At this point, the working title for the character was Pizza the Hut, which was probably a nod to the Spaceballs character. While a little grotesque, this version of Pizzaface didn't seem too disgusting. The design showed him dripping something that could have been sweat, ooze, mozzarella, or the result of a messy session in the kitchen. He also didn't have a mustache, just a stubble beard. What he did have was the use of pizzas as weapons. The action figure was originally designed with a spring-loaded right arm to fling his deadly pizzas, but that feature was later scrapped somewhere along the production line. It wasn't until it reached the hands of toy designer and sculptor David Arshawsky from Anaglyph Studios that Pizzaface reached peak levels of gross details. Where to begin? He had stitches all around his left wrist, a sign that he had cut his hand off and later reattached it. Not far from there, his pinky was also cut off. As a hidden detail, the finger would have been sculpted into one of the pizzas, a detail that Playmates decided to remove, as they felt cannibalism was a little too much. The figure was adorned with food and other creepy stuff. But the most notorious detail was the ooze coming out of his mouth. Further down, the character had a giant pizza cutter as a leg. It was detachable and could be swapped out for his oversized clever cleaver. What the figure lacked in articulation, it more than made up for in detail. Hidden under his hat was a second, smaller head of unknown origins. Was it a parasite? Was it a mutation? A Siamese twin? We never got an answer, as the head was removed during production to save costs. At the back of his head, the figure also had an unpainted ponytail. It looks like the figure almost came with a removable belt that was replaced with a sculpted one on his back, probably for cost-cutting purposes. Pizzaface, sometimes spelled as two words, was a psychotic pizza chef originally from, you guessed it, Pisa, Italy. And apart from that cleaver, he was packaged with a pizza box shield and two propelling pizzas. He was the Shredder's chef who, inspired by the chaotic working conditions of the Foot Clan, decided to become the most powerful pizza chef ever by zapping himself in his retro mutagen oven, hoping that the energy would bake him with badness. Unfortunately for him, the turtles were hungry, and when they went into his pizza parlor, they pulled him out of the oven. Half-baked, the chef swore revenge against the turtles for ruining his plans. Pizzaface possessed the power of the pizza pie, and from that moment on, he traveled from parlor to parlor, trying to turn the turtles into toppings. And he also delivered. The figure was released in 1990, alongside other releases like the Sewer Dragster and the Psycho Cycle. Pizzaface is one of those characters that was exclusive to the toy line, at least until Nickelodeon took over. He only appeared in a pin-up illustration on the Sunday Color newspaper strip in April 1992 by Jim Lawson. As for that missing second head, David Arshawsky made a limited run of resin castings of the unproduced mini-head, which he sold through his Turtle Milk Studios in 2019. The character was adapted into the 2012 cartoon, where he got a complete reimagining more in line with the original Pizza the Hut. This version was also given a first name, Antonio, of Antonio's Pizzarama fame. A Pizzaface with a similar design also debuted last year on the pages of TMNT Black, White, and Green, but that story wasn't attached to any canon. I will make a video about the Antonio version in the future. In conclusion, it isn't exactly clear whether the original Pizzaface was a mutant. Since his mutation was interrupted, it would be safe to assume that something in him must have changed. What do you think of this character? Did you ever have the toy? Or was it too gross for your taste? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the sewers.